Hey y'all, what's going on? It's BarbMeetsWorld, and I just came down here to discuss the Real Housewives of Potomac season 10, episode 4. Dang, we're only on episode 4. Tropic like it's hot, y'all. And in this episode, we have a lot of interesting, things to get into, of course. But before we get into all of that, I do need you all to like the video because it helps me in my channel in terms of the algorithm. It helps me attract new subscribers such as yourself. So go on ahead and hit the like button. Also, if you're not a current subscriber, I at this point, I don't even know like why, but please hit the subscription button. Become a Barb's babe. I would love to have you. And also, share me with all of your folks near and far. Make sure you hit that notification bell so you don't miss any of my uploads. And last but not least, hype up the video because, again, all of this helps me. I love coming down here and discussing everything with you all, but, it has to be a mutual exchange, right? So let's get into it, y'all. Hey, what's going on? Don't mind my appearance, y'all. I am going to the gym directly after this. So now that we got all that out the way, what all went down in this episode? I mean, you guys probably already see based on the thumbnail. I mean, I just a lot of feelings, a lot of thoughts, a lot of opinions. Like I said before, I can't believe this is only episode 4. I feel like we should at least be on like episode 7 by now, but that's neither here nor there. The ladies jet off to Nevis. Angel struggles to find her place in the group while Gizelle questions her and Stacey. Keiarna deals with the fallout of her feuds with Wendy and Jassi. Stacey claps back at Gizelle with swirling rumors of a tryst. Very interesting that Ashley's name wasn't brought up. And that is probably why, I shouldn't even say probably, that is why you guys probably clued into the fact that I said, hey, Ashley, she's becoming the new Robin, high key. I'm not even gonna say low key. High key, she's becoming the new Robin. You'll see her try to insert herself and try to call out people here and there and give her opinions under her breath every now and then. But for the most part, for her to be an OG, she's really fading into the background. Like, I just got to call it like I see it. She's really fading into the background. And I know a lot of you guys have been saying for seasons and seasons now that she's really not needed. But I feel like this season 10, is really highlighting that fact. And I'm gonna need her to get it together. I mean, I shouldn't even say I'm gonna need her to get it together because quite frankly, I don't care. Ashley's just one of those people that's just like there. I know she's a cast member that kind of you either love her or hate her pretty much. But for me though, because I don't particularly know any of these ladies in real life, I'm not gonna say I hate her, but she's just kind of there taking up space, very much like how Robin used to do. And I think it won't be long before she pulls a little stunt like this. Next thing we know, she'll be pulling out her camera and taking little clips here and there. A lot of people say if anybody is Gizelle's lapdog, it would be Ashley. And quite honestly, I understand why y'all are saying that. Who else? Honestly, I can't even really say too many bad things about Gizelle because these ladies are allowing her to quote unquote be in charge of the girls pretty much. And if you guys are going to let her do that and not call her out because there's plenty to call her out for, then that's on y'all. But it wouldn't have been me. It wouldn't have been me. It would not have been me. And also, I feel like Tia is kind of, I don't know if she's taking on that, maybe one would say a Gizelle type strategy. And what I mean by that is I feel like whenever she does talk, it's never about like what she has going on or whatever. Obviously, again, we're only 4 episodes in, but I really feel like when it comes down to Tia, we kind of see her just inserting herself to point out other things with other ladies and stuff instead of allowing for herself and for her own story to really be told. And hey, that might be a defense tactic. We all know that this franchise thrives off of, messiness and fun shade, I should say. And I'm throwing up the air quotes. You guys can't see, but I'm throwing up the air quotes when I say that because we know that sometimes we cross the line of fun shade into just downright disrespect. But I'll be interested to see how she continues to develop on this season. I'm not, by no means am I saying that I don't like her or anything like that. I'm picking up what she's putting down. As you see, I don't even know where to begin with Kay, because it's like, girl, she's really coming off as, I would say she's coming off as an only child. And I would be dedicated to standing in that if we didn't already meet, her brother. So we know she's not an only child, but it's just giving whiny, just always has something to complain about. And that's just, I don't know. That doesn't seem like somebody who I'd want to be around. It's not translating from, where we first met her a couple seasons ago. But I'll get more on that as obviously we go into the episode. Wendy, you might be wondering why I said sellout. And that's because in this episode, she said something that really struck a chord with me. And again, we'll speak on that further when it comes time for that. But I'm really questioning what her end goal is here. I really am. Stacey, she really can do no wrong right now for me in her book. Like, she really is living up to her tagline, in my opinion, and she's doing it on her own terms. She's doing it in a way that really feels authentic to her. She's showing up in a way that really is very fresh, something that we really haven't seen, I feel like, on this show in a while. So kudos to you, Stacey. I'm not saying anything negative about you. When I say Angel got bulldozed time and time again during this episode, and something tells me that might continue to happen, I hope it doesn't, but I feel like she's getting bulldozed because she's sticking so tightly to her homegirl of 20 plus years. And I feel like that's going to not land her in a place that she wants to be. She already looks uncomfortable in the scenes, quite honestly. So I really need her to get it together and really just kind of cut the cord in between. I shouldn't even say cut the cord, because I mean, yeah, if you still want to be friends with, your friend who you say you've been friends with for 20 plus years, then by all means do that. But when the ladies say that they're having a hard time, connecting with you, or are you open to connecting with them, I understand why they're saying that, because it seems as though you're picking issues with people that your girl has issues with. And what is it founded on? Because you just got here. And I don't really like how they did Jassi, but we'll get into that. Okay. Enough of the banter on my end. Let's jump into it. Why don't we? Okay, so the ladies, they were still on the Sprinter once this episode premiered. They were still on the Sprinter and everything, and they were on their way to Preakness again. Kay was still rambling about how she doesn't see it for Stacey, and I'm just like, girl, we as viewers don't really see it for you, quite honestly, right now. If I can just be honest, at least I'm speaking for myself when I say that. Y'all let me know in the comments. But in Hey Bap, Ashley only matters when she's talking about Stacey. Pretty much, we can clearly tell that Ashley's whole storyline this season is Stacey. Because what else does she have going on? I'll wait. Anyway. Okay, again, this little whiny only child type of vibe she's giving off and stuff like that, talking about Stacey's not touching me, she's touching my hair, and it's really weird. Like, girl, what is up with you? Like, relax. And I say that because clearly by the end of this episode we can see that all of this has gotten up under her skin. I really wouldn't have too much to say on the subject if it wasn't so clear that she is obviously bothered by what is going on. And I feel like it's because she's really just taking everything super to heart and not really understanding. I don't want to say how this game is played because this is supposed to be real life, right? But we know that there's strategies to this whole housewives thing. We know that people come in with agendas, and we know that there's certain times where you might have to, back a bitch up off you. So I'm just not understanding why she continues to go at things the way she does, because she's only just making herself look foolish, quite honestly. And if you catch this, if you're watching, I'm not trying to rag on you. Trust me, I'm not. Like, I think you're a beautiful girl. I think that, at first, if you guys have been around for a little bit, you know that I really was kind of going up for her. I was really happy when she joined the cast full time. Gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. She looks even more gorgeous with no makeup, honestly. And she posted a video on her IG today, and I was just like, girl, like, face card, undeniable. But everything else is just really falling flat to the point that if you don't get it together soon, people are really, really, really not going to want to see you on this show. And they're already saying in the comments that, your time is up, you can go, etc., etc. So anyway, she hands the ladies some 20s and stuff when the majority of the group sits down or steps off to place their bets, I should say. We have Wendy turn to, and I think I have a picture for this little moment. Do I? Yeah, I think it was this moment right here. We have Wendy turning to Gizelle to say, just bring up my name to Angel. She'll talk about me for 7 minutes. And Giselle's like, wait, I thought you guys knew each other, went to school, yada, 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 whatever. And Wendy discloses that she's heard that Angel, she didn't graduate. And it may be attributed to something that has transpired at the time to cause her to not graduate. And so I'm sure Gizelle put that in her back pocket for later. We know how Gizelle gets down, so I won't be surprised if that comes back around. But in this moment, she does laugh it off. And that's just all we hear that's all we hear about it in this moment. But when Stacey comes back over there, she was like, Kay was giving tutorials on placing bets, and I just ain't got time for that. I know how to stay rich, and I'm keeping this $20 in my pocket. And I was like, okay, yes, ma'am. I get it. And also, some dude asked Ashley out. I really don't care I never care about Ashley's love life, honestly, y'all. Like I said, Ashley's just kind of a side character that's just there taking up space. So I have nothing to say about that, just being honest. We have a moment where Ashley confronts Tia, and a lot of people online were going up for Tia getting Ashley together. I was cool with it. I didn't have any problems with it. For me, though, I wasn't over here like, oh my God, just getting my life. Like, yes, absolutely. But I was happy to see that Tia isn't going to just be somebody that takes these lashings laying down, so to speak. I'm glad that she spoke up for herself and wasn't scared to clap back at an OG or anybody else on the cast for that matter. She let Ashley know real quick and real fast, like, I'm not understanding what you're confused on, but this is what I said. I don't know. I was here for that. We also, what else happened? Stacey asks Gizelle if she has a boyfriend. We're gonna just remember that for later. Of course, Gizelle says no in this moment, and Stacey keeps it on cute, but like I said, just remember that for later. Tongue in cheek. Kay is really trying to make this chin check thing happen and make it make sense. No, girl, you were on some other ish. Tia clearly said that she wasn't being shady when she said what she said. So let's just not even bring up I'm so sick of hearing the word chin check. Like, for real, I really am. Then in comes Jassi, y'all. I was really happy to see Jassi. I liked her a lot last season. And that's why I said that I didn't really like too much how they were coming at her. And I feel like they're trying to, like, some certain people are trying to play her. I didn't really care for that too much. But she makes her entrance, and I noticed Kay's face. Wendy noticed Kay's face. Stacey noticed Kay's energy switch up. And I was just kind of confused because I'm like, what happened? Like, what is there beef? Like, last time I checked, y'all were cool or just meeting. So what could have happened between last season and this season? Like, huh? But apparently we had something happen offline. It's apparent that a lot of offline conversations have been being had. And I'm the type of person, I want to see everything play out on the screen. You're supposed to be filming a show and we're supposed to be in the know. And so I don't really like when there's a lot of vital conversations happening offline, because that doesn't give us anything to work with. But nonetheless, Kay says, like, under her breath, like, oh, this is fun. And I'm just like, here we go again. Like, so let me find out now you have an issue with Jassi, which obviously, if you watch the episode, you know she does. She looks less than enthused. And when Angel greets Jassi, she mentions hearing that Jassi was a wag. We know that Angel's husband has retired from the NFL. So I guess she was trying to bond with her in that moment, but it kind of came out a little strange, because next thing we know, once Jassi takes her seat, Jassi's downloading them on what all is going on in her life. This is before she got married, but at this time she was engaged. We have Angel then ask her, you know, what position does Darius play? And she's like, yada, yada, yada. And so then Angel's like, oh yeah, my husband was a tackle or something like that. He started for 10 years. So on one hand, I can understand why she might have said that, to kind of, again, spark up some conversation. There's nothing wrong with talking highly about, you know, your partner's accomplishments or anything like that, or, you know, just trying to give them a little bit of background. I get that, but in this type of setting, it's going to look a little odd. It's going to look like you were trying to, like, stunt or, you know, throw some shade. And even production catches on to that, because then later on or was it in this scene? No, yeah, it was. Yeah, I think it was later on in the episode that Angel does speak a little bit more about her views on how, you know, certain players are positioned on the team and stuff like that. So again, we're seeing all of these little nuggets and little, like, Easter eggs, I feel like, being dropped all over the place. But Wendy in this moment is pretty much the only person who clocks it, because she's like, look at that Stacey with her little binoculars, like laughing, just being Wendy, of course. So I knew it was going to come back up. Nonetheless, again, moving right along, the races begin. The ladies step outside. They all looked gorgeous, in my opinion. I think everybody looked really nice. Well, okay. Gizelle, yeah. Wendy's look was probably my favorite. Tia's dress was cute. So was Stacey's. Is Ashley wearing one of those? Okay, I know what Ashley's wearing. Okay, I get it. And I thought Kay's dress was really pretty as well. They all looked really nice. Let's watch the races. Let's have a good time. And so we hear Ashley then turn to Kay and ask if everything is okay with her and Jassi, because she also noticed that Kay's body language switched up too when Jassi came in. And so Kay's like, oh, well, you know, I thought we were friends, but, you know, I heard some interesting things that Jassi was saying, like she was having a problem with me. And so allegedly some information got brought back to Kay that, you know, turns out, or I should say that when they're having this conversation, Jassie's literally 2 feet away. So I was actually glad when Ashley was like, okay, girl, or I think it was Kay that told Jassi like to come over or whatever. I'm glad, because I'm like, are you guys really about to have this conversation? She's right there. Like, let's just talk about it, right? Why don't we? And so Kay asked her, you know, I heard you and Stacey had an issue with me, and it was actually Wendy that apparently told her this. And Wendy was sitting right there as well. But before anyone could say anything, Wendy's like, hold on, y'all. Here comes the first lady. And she puts back on her Louboutins real quick. And she steps on over there. It was her and Gizelle. Her and Gizelle. Kay went over there too, but I think she greeted somebody else. I don't know. Nonetheless, Kate was like, oh, well, you know, Wendy was all bragging about the first lady only for her to come over and speak for like 2.5 seconds. And I'm just like, huh, girl, I get you were trying to have a moment when you said that, but when you think about it, that doesn't even make sense, because what? Lights on, is anyone home? What prompted you to think that by Wendy saying that the first lady invited her or whatever, that meant that she was going to be all up in Wendy and I guess by proxy y'all's faces the entire time? That doesn't make sense. Being the first lady, I'm sure she has to mix and mingle with a boatload of people. So it would be different if she walked past and acted like she didn't even know Wendy at all or something like that. But I'm like, girl, just calm down. Every time she opens her mouth, it's just like she's saying the wrong stuff, y'all. But anywho, going back to that conversation, Jassi wasn't really understanding what Kate was talking about. And it's actually Wendy that says to her, well, you know, Jassi, we were talking on the phone, and they were trying to figure out who apparently was going to this NAACP event. So when he asked if Kate was going, she asked Jassi if Kate was going. And I guess there was a bunch of, I don't know. And so from that conversation, I guess to Wendy, it seemed like there was something there. And Jassi was like, oh no, baby. It seems like nothing was there. Like it seems like something is there and we have beef, two totally different things. And it really was just giving Wendy was being messy, which I thought was funny. She didn't even get upset with Wendy or anything like that. Like she didn't let it get up under her skin. And I'm like, that's what you need to start doing, Kay. You let everything get up under your skin to the point that it's just, it doesn't make you a likable watch, you know? But anyway, in her confessional, Kay is convinced that Wendy didn't just pick up this issue from nowhere. Like it's got to be attributed to something. And I wasn't quite sure why Kay said what she said next, but then she proceeds to say to Jassi, like, we can do a lot of things, but maybe I don't have to do no lying. And I was just like, did production like snip out just a little bit of something? Because I just felt like that. I was kind of confused why that was her response, because I was like, Jassi lying. I'm like, nobody is necessarily like calling you a low down, dirty liar as much as they're, I guess, trying to explain how maybe some wires and some things could have got misinterpreted or mistranslated or something like that. I don't know. It's just like, again, not a likable watch right now. But then we have Jassi talking about, okay, girl, well, I know you're going through a lot with Greg, but, you know, I don't want you taking it out on me. And a lot of people probably would say, like, okay, there's no reason for her to bring up Greg. I mean, I can understand that. I can agree to that. I think that it turns into like a way messier situation when the men or the husbands, boyfriends, whoever gets brought up, or also when the children are brought into it. There's just certain, just keep the focus on the person that you're talking to, is my little word of advice to anybody, being somebody who's been watching The Real Housewives for a long time now. I just feel like that's just a safe piece of advice, and to just not bring up anybody, just try to keep it between you and whoever you're talking to, because once you start to introduce those other people into the mix, it can really get amplified. So that was probably not the best thing to say. And Kay's like, you know, don't speak on my man. We know you do lying. And there's, you know, going back and forth and everything. And then we have Kay throw out there, well, you were the one marrying a man that has had 2 kids on you. And I was just like, whoa, like it just got real serious. But again, technically speaking, Jassi did bring up Greg first, but it was just like, again, I feel like Jassi wasn't breaking a sweat when she was saying these things, much like some of the other ladies when they're, verbally sparring with people. Kay gets visibly upset and annoyed, bothered, whatever you want to call it. It really throws her energy off. And I know that for a fact based on later on in this episode. And then I may or may not have already watched the first 6 minutes, 7 minutes, however many minutes of next week's episode, y'all. I'm sorry, but I'm just saying that to say there'll be several instances where we can tell that Kay, you're being easily bothered, and this is not the type of show, this is not the type of atmosphere where you can be thrown off your square that easily, because as soon as you show some type of vulnerability, there will be people like Ashley to come and to play off of that. So it's just like, don't let them see you being that bothered. There's nothing wrong with having feelings, but at the same time, it's almost as though you got to like do two different things. You got to, be human on this show, but you also have to be a reality star on the show that just kind of lets things, not bother you, because then you, like I just keep saying, you won't be so likable to watch. And then next thing you know, people will be like, get off the show. So again, but I think it's a lost cause at this point. Truly, I do. And so I don't know if it was Gizelle, whoever, they disperse, and Jassi's like, I'd be upset too if all I got was a little condo that he ain't even paid for. Tell us how you really feel. And next thing I know, this is again kind of where I started to be like, why are you guys doing Jassi like that? Because I think it was Tia that was like, is she coming on holiday with us? And I was like, first of all, I'll save what I'm about to say for a different time, because I'm still mulling that over in my mind, but I might have to revisit Tia saying that. But anyway, then we hear Kay saying, well, it's giving me vibes that I remember. She said remember. This is also the girl that said big Europe cities last year. So anyway, be quiet. She was like, and it's a no for me. So, please don't take me out of my element. I've been working hard. And I'm just like, well, one, you say I remember things. So that, again, I feel like was Keiarna showing her hand again, because I'm like, oh, well, it's clear that you have had these type of ill feelings towards Jassi for a while now then, because if you're talking about something that happened in the past, once again, this just goes to show that you brought this type of energy, you brought these issues into the mix when these are things you could have been addressed or things that you chose to sit on for whatever reason. Remember things. What things are you talking about, huh? Because again, last time I checked, you guys are both on screen. The last time, everything seemed cool enough between you guys. So, okay, Kay, I see you. And then we have Angel directly following that up, y'all, with saying, to Gizelle, she's like, well, can you bring Charisse? I like her. And I feel like a lot of people are kind of, we all have our opinions, y'all, but I feel like a lot of people are saying like, oh, well, that doesn't mean that Angel was saying anything bad about Jassi, or she wasn't saying that she doesn't like Jassi. Okay, when you say that type of statement directly after somebody, we had Tia saying, oh, is she coming on holiday with us? Which also carries the implication of like, I clearly don't want to be around this person, or she just did the most. Like clearly that has a negative connotation attached to it. Then we have Kay saying like, can we not? It's giving me vibes. It's a no. Da da da. And then we have Angel then finally following that up with saying like, oh, can we bring Charisse? I like her. That I'm sorry, y'all. I can't see it any other type of way other than that carries the implication of I don't particularly care for Jassi. Am I making sense? I hope I'm making sense. Hey, Kevin, what's going on? I'm like, I just can't see it any other type of way. But ooh, sorry, StreamYard is always changing something. Anyway, moving along. Ladies are getting all ready to head off on their trip. It looks like Jassi was invited after all. Thank God for someone like me who actually enjoys seeing her on the show. But unfortunately, she was put into economy, which I feel like certain people were trying to like, read her about, or not read her about, but shade her about. Do we forget that Jassi's a flight attendant, right? So I'm pretty sure Mama has flown in business class, first class, more than a few times. She is just a friend of, so I do understand that if somebody had to be in economy, obviously it would be her. But also, just based on how everything's transpiring on the show, and based on social media and stuff after last season wrapped, and just different things, have led me to believe that Jassi may have been brought on after they began filming, or a little bit, she might have received her contract after everybody else did. There might have been a little bit of a gap in between there. So I wasn't really thrown off. I want to say someone online. Did someone online say that? Verbatim, that she was brought on after they bought the tickets and all the business class tickets were sold out or something like that. So I didn't really think that it was that crazy. And Miss Girl said, well, champagne tastes the same in all the different seats, so it really don't even matter. And I was like, I know that's right. But anyway, when they land, obviously it takes Jassi quite a while, to get off since she is in economy. Again, I feel like they were putting 20 on 10. I'm like, it couldn't have been that long you're waiting. And I think, was it Stacey that was like, oh, like eye patches? And I'm like, that's not really that weird. I've been on planes before. I haven't done that, but I've seen plenty of people on planes with eye patches. I also was not feeling it when Kay was like, oh yeah, international Jassi, where are you? Again, this is the same lady that said big Europe cities last season. So I'm like, not too much. Like they were just, I didn't like that. I didn't. And maybe that's because on this show, we've seen friends of come on and be whacked back and forth nonstop, even though they're supposed to be, again, friends of. Not really understanding that. But anyway, but they all get into, I think, van or whatever, because they had to take the van to the boat, then they got here and there, whatever. So they're all being transported. And so once they take the boat over, or once they get to the lounge or whatever, they're chilling, they're greeted with drinks, the whole nine. Angel says her goal is to get to know all of them better, for them to get to know her better. Y'all remember that. But Stacey's like, I reached out to Angel and it wasn't really warmly received. So interesting. And then we also have Gizelle announcing that this will be a celebration for Jassi as far as her, bachelorette and stuff like that. And mostly everyone cheers. I didn't see Kay cheer, but again, she's just giving what she's like, literally, I can't look at her without thinking like wet blanket. Like wet blanket, wet blanket, wet blanket. Wet blankets ain't fun, especially on a trip. And this is why I'm like, see, you cannot travel with everybody, because could not be me. She would just be looking like a lump on a log the whole time. I'm sorry, you're not about to ruin my trip. But anyway, but one of the issues in this moment, or I should say the main issue in this moment, was when the concierge or whatever comes over, she's like, hey, so Miss, Angel, whatever, we have an issue because your bag is camouflage. And I'm like, oh, looky there. I would just think, you would be well traveled enough to know that even I know that a lot of Caribbean countries, you cannot bring camouflage, you cannot wear camouflage, etc., etc. It's strictly reserved for law enforcement and military. So she had this product like backpack. It almost looked like a diaper bag, backpack bag, a purse situation or whatever. She had that, and shout out to Tia for having a little bit of extra room in her suitcase or whatever, because she was able to then put that bag into her bag, and crisis averted. But I'm just like, girl, what? Really? And this is where we get like a little throwaway comment from Ashley. Again, we just get like a handful of throwaway comments for Ashley, which again just solidifies the fact that she's no longer needed on the cast, if she ever was to begin with. Hopefully Angel is one and done. Kay can definitely go. And like, I completely understand why you're saying that, because it's just they're not enjoyable to watch. The whole time, every time the camera panned over there, it was just like, that's not fun. I don't want to see that. We don't like, you're not even enjoying this. Like, come on now. Was kind of confused at why Wendy needed to ask Stacey, does she suck balls? For some odd reason on this show, I just always get annoyed when they talk about like schmacks and stuff like that, because it's just, maybe because I know that they're not really friends. I don't know. And I'm not a prude or anything like that. Don't get me wrong, y'all. But I just be like, next topic. It was just so random. So they finally get on the yacht. Time to celebrate. You having fun. We having a good old time. Not really though, y'all. Because next thing we know, and it was also the day after Wendy's birthday, which I'm like, yes, Gemini season, it's going to be a good time, right? This is when Gizelle drops the bomb that somebody in the group may have not wanted Jassi to come, but I loved how Jassi at first was completely unfazed. She was like, I did hear that. And so apparently Gizelle and Jassi had a lunch, and I guess I never realized one that Jassi was also an AK, but whatever. Again, Kay's over there. Okay, we acknowledging it. Just like little things that she says just make her just don't paint her in the best light. They really don't. And I hope she's watching this back like, ooh, yeah. This is not good. This is not good at all. But anyway, I want to say, was it Gizelle that goes on to say, it was Kay and Angel that didn't want her to come. And, someone in particular told her to bring Tryst instead. And Angel claims to have known Tryst for a while, but then we see this flashback to a month ago or whatever, where they just seem to be getting acquainted. And the only connection between them is that they have a mutual friend. So not really understanding why Angel keeps getting these things wrong. And for that reason, I'm pretty sure it's why she's now back on the hot seat. And her friend of 20 years takes her glasses off to explain that, she's not fake and phony. But before she could finish her sentence, I was really annoyed that Jassi cut her off, because I really wanted to hear her finish that sentence. But Jassi interrupts her to say, well, if you're not fake and phony, then, say what you said about Wendy. Huh? Oh. So y'all talked when y'all were cool or whatever, y'all had a conversation and something was said about Wendy. The only thing I don't like about the fact that Jassi brought this up is because she then proceeds to not tell us, even in her confessional, what was said. And I'm like, if you're going to bring something up, you gotta see it all the way through. You gotta let us know what happened, because then that makes us think once again that most of the true tea is being dropped behind the scenes, offline, etc. And we don't like that. As viewers, we want to see it all happen in front of us. Obviously, we understand that you can't help certain things, certain conversations may happen during the off season or something like that. But for the most part, if it's going to have some type of effect on what is going to happen in the season, we want to see all that. I don't know how many times I have to say it, but I like to think I speak for the majority of us, right? And Wendy immediately clocks it, and she's like, oh, well, obviously you've had an issue with me this whole time, and you were just deflecting. And honestly, even though I've got some choice words for Wendy, she wasn't wrong in this moment. I don't think she's wrong on her assessment about Kay's behavior at all, and also about Angel's behavior as well. And I'm just I feel like Kay set her friend up for failure. Honestly, I do. Or I'm not gonna say maybe set her up for failure as much as she should have known, or she shouldn't be the one that's giving her tips on coming on the show, clearly, because she's drowning right now, is what it looks like. And then it's like, at the same time, Kay's admitting, like, yeah, we did have, and Wendy was not thinking that they had an issue, but Kay's like, we did have an issue. So again, you had all this opportunity to bring this up, but you didn't. And it looks like you've just been sitting and having side conversations, which is then only going to make you look like the bad friend. Like, this is first grade stuff to me. And for some odd reason, it's going straight over Kay's head each and every time it happens, and she's getting caught up. I don't get it. And then we have her talking like Jassi's not there, only for Jassi to, let it be known, I am seated, I am present, I am right here. Like, there's no, shutting me out. And then they get into a second back and forth, only for Jassi to throw in Kay's face that, she is a fiance, something that Kay will never be. And I'm like, well, excuse me. And for the most part, I typically despise when people weaponize their relationships, marriages, what have you. I don't like when people throw their relationships in other people's face or try to shade the other person for not being married or not being whatever. I think that's the weakest read you can honestly say, because you have no idea how fast the tables can turn. You have no idea how fast that especially Jassi coming into her relationship the way she did. I'm like, girl, I would steer clear of any of those topics, because other than that, I can't say that there's really anything else to read her on for the most part. I think she looks good. I think she dresses good. I think, she's got a lot going for herself based on her backstory and everything like that. I mean, enough to where I'm thinking she should have got the full-time position, but that's neither here nor there. But it's just like, when you then bring up the relationships, the husbands, the boyfriend, whoever, when you bring up all that, though, Jassi, it's not ever going to go in your favor, because of how you and Darius first started off. We saw the interviews, we added up the months and stuff like that. Like you should really steer clear from that. And then I think that's the only really critique I have for her, honestly. Everything else is on point, from what I can see. Anyway, how did you guys feel about Tia acting confused on like what they were saying, or acting like she couldn't pick up on the language they were speaking or whatever? I'm like, girl, huh? Like, this is house, like, what they're talking about. And I'm also like, your children don't have accents, your husband's from Chicago, Southside Chicago. Like, I'm like, let's not do that. Let's not do that. But anyway, Kay claims that she never wants Jassi's relationship, which I'm like, I think multiple things can be true at the same time. I feel like neither of them can throw a relationship in anybody's face. I feel like they were kind of even for the most part, in their insults, if that makes sense. Because we know damn well I don't want to be in Jassi's relationship by any means, and I also do not want to be in Kay's relationship by any means, which is why I would think that you guys would be the best of friends, because it seems like you guys have both been stupid behind a man at one point or another in your lives. Just saying. Anyway, so Angel also claimed that, she's good with Jassi now, But it's like, and on that note, Wendy's like, well, you know, Stacey and I noticed that when Jassi walked into Preakness, Angel, you start talking about how her husband started, you know, for 10 years and it came off as a dig. I'm like, hey, Angel, Wendy's not wrong. A lot of us were sitting here kind of confused as to why you brought that up. And it's just like, maybe she's just awkward or doesn't really know how to like be on the show. Maybe she's overthinking it. I don't know. But I just wish if she is overthinking it, I wish she would just tap into her, like she needs to reground herself. She is this person that seems to be super self-assured and be all about her peace and stuff like that. You would then think that she's able to ground herself in these moments and speak authentically and, you know, show up in a way that makes sense. But for some odd reason, it's not the case. And I can only think again that that's attributed to the fact that she is staying so closely linked up with her homegirl that it's like she wants to not maybe damage what they have. But she also like wants to like get to know ladies maybe whatever, but she's also allowing the things that Kay has told her about some of the ladies or whatever to form these opinions and to guide her through fostering these or I shouldn't even say fostering the connections, because we're not really seeing that from her. We're just seeing you having total issues with certain people and then ignoring other stuff that I feel like you should be pointing out. And it's not, nope. Once again, it's a no. And I was very happy that production showed the footage of her asking Jassi about her husband, because in this moment she's saying like, oh, well, yeah, she asked me about wag stuff, whatever. And it's like, no, girl, clearly you brought it up first. Jassi wasn't even like, she just sat down. She wasn't even on any type of, she didn't even bring that up to you. Like she just said nothing of the sort. She didn't even seem like she was fully familiar with you, but you clearly seemed like you were familiar with her. And that's probably because you and Kay have obviously been talking behind the scenes, and she's probably been talking cash money shit, filling your head up with stuff. And now you're coming into the situation with all these preconceived notions and stuff like that. And it's causing you to flop. Am I making sense, y'all? Anyway, and then this is when production asked her if her husband is a bench warmer. And Angel did keep it cute, I will say, in her confessional. And she gave a very cutesy answer, which I'm like, okay, well, at least she did that right. But I'm sure that can kind of be decoded for the shade that was lying underneath it, because there was shade. Obviously, I don't watch football, so I don't really know. And actually, my husband is a Cowboys fan, so not too much. Like I said, I don't watch football, so I don't really care. But technically speaking, we're a Cowboys household because of him. So I gotta, speak up and defend them. Anyway, so I should have asked him, like, I don't know how active he is on the team. I've been hearing online like he's part of the practice team, really. But I mean, a ring is a ring nonetheless, I guess. I don't know. Or he's with the Chiefs now, right? So I don't know, y'all. I don't know. Anyway, what else? And that's when Stacey also asked Angel if she has her heart open to having these relationships with the other people that Kay might not enjoy. And I feel like Jassi was a hit dog hollering a little bit, but nonetheless, oh my God, how I've been blabbing so much, y'all. I did not mean to make this long. Oh, let me wrap it up. Anyway, once they debark, though, I think that's pretty much everything that happened on the boat. Once they get to the villas or whatever, or no, I should say that before they even got off, Kay, again, because she's so thrown off her square or whatever, she's now like still sitting down, whatever, collecting herself. Angel, because she clearly doesn't want to leave her good Judy, is down there too, because she's probably having this like ethical dilemma of, oh, well, I want to go up there and have fun with them, but I also don't want to leave my friend. So she's like caught up in the middle, I think. And everybody else is upstairs twerking, having a good old time, to the point that they're all, you know, feeling good. And then we see Kay and Angel come up, and I feel like the tone in her voice when she was like, oh yeah, they're all, you know, turning up or whatever, it did sound kind of like she wanted to be involved in it. But again, I think she was just in her head thinking like, oh, don't want to leave my friend. Oh, but I do want to go out there. Oh, but like, I don't want to be my friend. Like, and it's like, girl, y'all should have had a very deep understanding coming on this show. At the end of the day, you guys are all like individual people, and it is up to you, because you're the one who said you do want to get to know the ladies, you want them to get to know you as well. It's up to you then to maneuver in the way that you need to maneuver in order to support that. I feel like it's very easy. Anyway, anything else? Anyway, the resort looked nice. Stacey actually stayed there before. But when they get into their golf carts, we hear Ashley and Gizelle talking about there's like a supposed photo that has been floating around or whatever. And it's supposed to be of Angel, but it's not really giving Angel. So Giselle's like, oh yeah, we're gonna bring it up at dinner or whatever. I'm like, see, so freaking messy. But anyway, then we also get the room assignments. It was Gizelle and Ashley in the main villa or wherever that they were in. Tia was in the nanny's quarters, which I think it was Wendy that thought it was like shady or whatever. I honestly would have loved to be in the maid's quarters by myself. I like my own space and stuff like that. So I would have been totally fine with that. Just saying. But she puts Tia in there, and then Jassi, Stacey, and Wendy are all going to be in one villa, and they were super excited. They were hugging. They were having, you know, so much fun, knowing that they was about to all be roommates. And then, of course, we have Tia, Angel, and Kay that are going to be in a villa together as well. So they all disperse to go and get dressed for dinner and stuff. And I will say it really was a nice touch. The personalized letters or notes or whatever, that was cute, as well as the flowers, the monogram robes, and the cosmetic pouches. I was like, you know, I love to host. I love to spoil my friends and stuff like that. So that's something I definitely would have done. But you want to know what I wouldn't have done, y'all, as a host? I wouldn't have done that low down, raggedy bullshit that fucking Gizelle did, because honestly, and this is one of the main things I have to get on. Yeah, this is like the main thing I have to get on Gizelle about in this episode. It's because I feel like this is where we teeter that line of fun shade versus disrespect, because Giselle's over here talking about, oh, she didn't personalize Stacey's stuff or whatever because she doesn't know who Stacey is. And I'm like, you don't know who she is just based off of the whole TJ thing? Like, are we really serious right now? Like, are we really going to sit here and act like that is like just so outlandish to the point that now you're going to make her pay, so to speak, for the rest of the season for this? Like, it's just, that was really corny to me. And I feel like that was honestly just disrespectful, because it's like, I'm never, even if I don't like you that much or whatever, I'm still going to always treat you with that human decency and stuff like that. Like, I'm not going to single you out like this is some third grade birthday party or some shit. Like, I was just I was very irritated by that, because I'm like, that was just unnecessary. But Stacey, she was, you know, unfazed for the most part. She was like, all right, maybe, you know, I'll gain some letters on this by the end of the trip. And I'm like, you know, I hope so too, because it was just really childish. What else? Okay, so this is the point where I'm like, you know what, Wendy, I'm looking at you really weird. And that's because Wendy goes on to say, like, oh, well, you know, I've been on the receiving end of Giselle's BS, for lack of better words. And so you know, I know how it feels, but, you know, since it's not me, you know, like she's basically okay with it, whatever. And I was like, that's the shit I'm talking about. That's why people are saying that you are drinking Gizelle's Kool-Aid, because it's like, and don't get me wrong, y'all, I hate to keep these old stale beefs going. I would love, you know, to be in a world where the girls get along and, you know, it's just fun to watch. And a lot of that darkness that was over top of this show was attributed to what was going on between the Wendys and the Gizelles, et cetera, et cetera. And it's just like, I understand if you guys are going to get past your issue and you're going to try to move forward or whatever, that's fine or whatever. But it's like, now you're at the point where you are cool with bullshit happening just as long as it's not coming your way. Like, I can't jive with that. I really can't. And if it was me and she said that, I would definitely call her out for it. Because when it was stuff being hurled your way, we were all on here talking about some Gizelle is super wrong, that's BS, that's not cool, yada, yada, yada. Like, if something is not right, it's not right, period. It doesn't matter if it happens to me, you, or the hamster over there. It's not right. And I feel like that's just, you know, my own personal principles. I don't know, but it just seems like, oh, you know, now me and Gizelle are, you know, cool, or, you know, I'm content with whatever's happening, just as long as they ain't got nothing to do with me. That's not cool. And you would not have felt supported if anybody else would have turned around and said that to you when you were, you know, under Gizelle's wrath. Like, I really did not like that, y'all. And it's quite clear, and especially to Wendy, that there's two subgroups in the group now. It's pretty much Angel and Kay, and then we got everybody else over here. It's very weird to watch, because it's like you guys are like doing that to yourselves pretty much, because it doesn't even seem like there's a real issue. It's just an issue to have an issue, it seems like. But anyway, and then I say that because we have Angel talking about how it was just so rude of Wendy not to say anything to her, and, you know, and they're at the airport, she didn't say anything to her, and et cetera, et cetera. She says Wendy at first, and then she says they. And I love, again, that production decided to roll that footage back and say, no, boo, like, by no means is that how it went down. We see Gizelle, Ashley, we don't see Wendy specifically, but we see enough people embrace and greet Angel to the point that we know that what she says is a fucking lie. Like, we clearly see that what Gizelle said, or not Gizelle said, we clearly see that Angel is like not on the same show we're watching for some odd reason. She keeps, her rendition of stuff is just so far from the truth that we can only look at you as either a liar or somebody that's just very like, there's y'all, I'm not trying to make fun of anybody. I'm not trying to make light of anybody having memory issues, because if you do, that's a serious thing, and you really do, but it's really making me question what exactly is going on here. And I'll even take it further to say, like, I'm really looking at you weird, because a lot of the stuff she's saying in her confessional, which the confessional is shot after the season wraps, right? Or whatever. So Jassi confirmed first class was full. Okay, see, I know somebody said it. I saw it online, and yep, I mentioned Jassi's a flight attendant. So that's why I'm like not understanding. I'm like, you can't, if I was a flight attendant, it's like you can't shade me on sitting anywhere on this plane, because I'm pretty sure she's got enough miles, and I'm pretty sure she could have probably flown for 100% free if she wanted to. I don't know, whatever. I just thought that was so stupid, the way that they were treating her. Gosh, I did not mean to make this long, y'all, but I've just been rambling. Anyway, Tia FaceTiming her kids. That was cute. We see her talking to her daughter. It's one of her daughter's birthdays. So she talks to her first, and then she talks to her son. He's kind of upset because on his birthday, he had to clean up, but on his sister's birthday, he's still having to clean up, and he just doesn't think that's fair. So he wants to be adopted. I thought that was cute. She was like, yeah, well, I'll be back on Sunday, so please don't get adopted before then. I thought that was cute. Ha ha, he he. Once they all arrive and everybody looks really nice at dinner, I'll even say Gizelle's dress was cute enough. Like, who would have thought? Pig must be flying. They all, place their orders and stuff. And so we have, was it Stacey? Yeah, I think it was Stacey that first asked Kay if her and Greg are back together, because she's like, we don't talk, so just wondering. And she didn't say it with any tones or any shade or anything like that. And Kay's like, yeah. And then she chose to go on to say, like, yeah, you and I are in a cordial enough space, and we even talked during our travels and stuff like that. And it's like, girl, like, yeah, you asked me for gum, and then I asked you if Angel was cool. Like, that was not a conversation, but whatever. And Angel's like, well, you asked in so many words. Angel asks why Stacey was asking about her, like what all was said there. And Stacey was just like, I was just genuinely checking on you. I was just genuinely concerned about, your well-being and stuff like that in terms of, the group and all that stuff. And Angel's like, oh, yeah, the best way to get to know me is, just to ask me, just to have a conversation. Okay. I'll just leave that there for now. But it's like Angel then in her confessional is talking about, it's been mixed. Like, maybe one or two of the ladies reached out to me, but no one really has given me the energy of wanting to get to know me. And it's just like, again, I'm thinking back to when Stacey said earlier that she did try to reach out and talk to you or whatever, and you met her with some lukewarm energy. Is literally what Stacey said. So it's not making sense. It's really not making sense here. And so I think it was then that Angel says that she's not really was this when she said she's really not a talkative person? She's getting around to talking more. And even a few moments later, I want to say she takes it a step further by saying, she's just not a talkative person in general. Like she's really just trying to work on all of that and stuff. And I'm just like, girl, I would not give these ladies more reasons to, have an issue with you or to call you out or whatever. But it's like rookie mistake after rookie mistake after rookie mistake. Oh my God. And Tia, she's like, well, Angel, I never really see you and Wendy talk like at all. Like, so what's going on with that? And it's like, we know what all went down at Kay's house last time we were on the subject. And Angel's over here, feeling attacked, or as if Wendy asked an unnecessary question. And in the most eloquent way I would say she can say it, Wendy's like, well, I asked a simple question, and it's just as though when you come at me and what I do, it's weaponized against me to the point that, you're almost dedicated to villainizing me. So maybe it's not just Stacey that's picking up on your energy. Maybe it's maybe it's Wendy, maybe it's a couple people now, Angel, that are picking up on how you're one way when you are speaking about one person or when you're over here, and then you keep flipping the switch. So okay. And Gizelle's like, so are you excited to be around us? Like, do you want to be around us? Like, what is it? And Angel was just floundering to me, and she was trying to like spit out how she's just an even keeled person, and she's like speaking up for herself, but it's not really resonating with them. We got a lot of like screwed up faces and stuff. They're just sitting there like, just I'm just looking at them like, oh my goodness, this is just not like this. It was really cringy to watch. And lo and behold, this is then when Gizelle brings up the photo. She's like, you know, seeing this picture between, you know, you and Tia, and I just couldn't understand. Where is it? I know I have it here somewhere, y'all. Gizelle just couldn't understand why Tia, or why she couldn't recognize Angel. And quite honestly, y'all, there's nothing wrong with editing your photos. Everybody does it. It's 2025. But when you're editing your photos to the point that, yes, you can't recognize a person when you're changing, you're literally changing your features to where you're unrecognizable, there's a problem there. And we have Tia saying, oh, well, she just had a baby 19 months ago. I'm not even going to speak on that because I don't even feel like, I'm just not even going to say anything about that. But it's just like, you're doubling down. You're saying like, no, it's absolutely me. And there's certain features, like even if you edit your stuff, it's not going to completely change the shape of your nose, or it's not going to completely just change your whole entire profile. And that's what it looked like. I can't find a picture right now. I'm sorry, but that's definitely what it looked like, to the point that they even showed more pictures. And you're talking about, it was a long time ago. It was a long time ago, like in the previous lifetime, because the lady that was sitting at the table, the lady that we've seen, it doesn't look the same. It really doesn't. And it's not saying that I think she's a very beautiful woman and stuff like that, but there's just so many things that she's offering these ladies to whack her over the head with. And I just want her to do better. I do. I genuinely, I want to like Angel, but she's not giving me a lot to work with. But she's standing on business. She's saying that it's super duper her, etc., etc. And this is when we have Wendy pointing out to Stacey, like, again, you see how it's different when the Gizelles of Ashley's or whoever say something to her or question her about something versus me. And Kay, because she's still got her bionic ears and her issues over here with Wendy, she tells Wendy, like, oh, you know, speak on what you're saying, like speak out loud on it. And Wendy does. And I feel like, even though I had my issues, my qualms with Wendy in this episode, she was absolutely right. The way that Angel is speaking to her, the way that she's handling her versus the way that she's handling the Gizelles that literally called you catfish to your face is totally different. The tone is totally different. And I don't quite understand why that's the case, other than it could, in my mind, it could only be attributed to the fact that Kay got in your ear and you took that and ran with it. So any issues that you have going forward are all you voluntarily getting into having those issues. Whatever. Anyway. And then I'll say the only other thing that happened. Yes, Wendy, it is clear that they've been talking about you, unfortunately. The only other thing that really happened is Stacey, calling out Gizelle for having a boyfriend that, of course, Gizelle denies. I wasn't surprised there. She says that they've only just been on some dates, whatever. I wasn't surprised that Gizelle downplayed that. And again, I respect Stacey for saying it, but it's obvious that Giselle's the type of person that is going to deflect, and like, she's used to deflecting. So I wasn't even like, you literally have to catch her in the act probably in order to really call her out about something like that. So it's neither here nor there. And then they try to obviously rein Ashley in on that to speak to the validity of what Stacey's saying. And instead of really doing that, Ashley brings up the fact that one of her homegirls has told her that Stacey has been trying to pursue Chris Samuels. We know Chris Samuels as in Monique Samuels, now ex-husband. And the only thing I have to really say about that, because Stacey says that they've just been friends or whatever, even on Watch Raps Live, I want to say just that they're cool or whatever. It's been nothing more than that or whatever. She is that at the end of the day, Stacey doesn't owe Monique any loyalty, even if she was talking to Chris, even if there was something there. Stacey owes him, or I should say her, Monique, no loyalty. And so this only just further solidifies the fact that Ashley has making it her main mission this season to go after Stacey and to just shift the focus onto her instead of her actually giving us what's going on in her life, because there's probably not much going on. Sorry. But we know that Monique is supposed to be joining the show soon, so obviously it's not going to be the last that we hear of it. I don't care. I'm going to tell you guys right now, I don't care. If she was pursuing him, that's her business. But we know that she's fully, according to her, pursuing her ex-husband now. So I'm just, the bones that they're picking with I keep getting it. There's 20 people on this cast, y'all. The bones that they keep picking with Stacey, I just feel like they're tired. And I feel like if Stacey was anybody else, she would have really came at them all types of crazy. But because she's not, and because she's going to do it in her own Stacey way, I'm sure we're going to continue to hear about it for a little bit, a while longer. But like I said, I just really don't care. We leave off on a to be continued. We don't really even get to the ending of the conversation, obviously. So we'll get into that during episode 5. But that's pretty much all I have for this episode, y'all. I do apologize. I did not mean to make it this long. I really only want to be up here for 45 minutes at the longest. So I'm not going to keep you guys any longer. Learn something new. Jassi is an AK. Yes. Alpha here. I feel like I probably knew that at one point, but I must have forgot, because in this episode, when Gizelle made mention of that, I was like, oh, okay, that makes sense or whatever. Because she finally recognized Wendy as one of her fellow sorors. So I thought that was funny. And that's when I picked up on how Kay was like, okay, acknowledged or whatever. And I feel like that was another example of how, just like when she brought up Stacey and her QVC personality or voice or whatever, and Wendy and her professorness or whatever, it's like, I feel like when Kay brings those types of things up, I don't want to say the word jealous necessarily, but it has a different tone. It's not her, like it's again, making her look very bothered. And yeah, I mean, some people may say jealousy, but I just feel like she has a hard time. She's having a hard time on the show, period, is what I'll say. And I'll keep it at that. Like I said, y'all, because I don't want to keep going, but we can continue this conversation in the comments. That's what we can do. Shout outs to y'all in the chat. Shout outs to the 31 people collectively watching. Make sure you come on over here to YouTube and hit the like button, please. And thank you. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to hit the notification bell. I forgot to put up my banner. Gosh, I forgot to put my banner, y'all. So I do apologize. But again, make sure you're liking, commenting, subscribing, sharing, hyping, doing all the things, y'all, because I do always appreciate you guys so much. And yeah, without further ado, I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.